Hello again. This is the second part of that story I was telling you about the Indian Ocean and our trip there some years ago. 3.5 hours out of Perth, and we were on final approach to Christmas Island airstrip. The first view you get of the island is a faint blob of white cloud in an Indian Ocean of blue. As you get closer and your vision focuses, you begin to see a very green swathe of jungle that appears to be built in terraces. This structure is referred to by the residents as a battleship or wedding cake shape. The explanation is that the island is part of an undersea volcanic range that peaks out of the ocean. It is lifted a little more out of the waves periodically, that's geologically speaking. This causes the coral around the fringe of the island to be raised out of the sea, forming a series of raised platforms of coral limestone. This platform weathers into a razor-sharp surface that is extremely difficult to walk on and almost impossible to land a boat on. When you see this treacherous formation, it is easy to understand how those poor asylum seekers had no chance once they were shipwrecked on this island. There are very few beaches, majority of the coast being composed of these broken bottle pinnacles of coral limestone. It's no wonder Christmas Island had no native inhabitants. It was too risky to land when huge ocean swells would dump your canoe on the treacherous coast. A consequence of this periodic uplift is that plants and creatures normally found at the beach or the ocean edge have been relocated inland and now inhabit areas much higher than sea level. For example, oddly, mangroves that evolved to live in freshwater creeks and lagoons far from the sea. The famous red land crabs of Christmas Island, which once inhabited the shores, now live in the island jungle forests. This is very interesting for us, but most inconvenient for them. The crabs have adapted very well to the inland jungle environment, except for one facet of their life cycle: reproduction. The poor blighters still have to return to the ocean for mating and spawning. So, when the rains begin, the seaward march of the crabs that are farthest inland begins. Both sexes head for the ocean, and more crabs join in with the parade. It's a sort of crustacean conga. The migration is not without its hazards, and many are killed when crossing the island's roads. This problem has been ameliorated somewhat by the construction of crab underpasses and bridges, through which the crabs are funneled by miniature fences. When the millions arrive at the water's edge, these proud creatures give themselves a good wash in preparation for mating. I imagine after crawling around sideways and backwards in the jungle over the past year, you'd want to freshen up a little before lovemaking. Well then, what are Mary and I doing here? The trip was an organised group tour, Bird and Nature Week, held annually and takes in Christmas and Cocos Islands. There were about 30 in the party, most of whom were taking their birds very seriously. And then there was me, a retired mining engineer. Though it has to be said that by the end of the week, I knew my Abbott's booby from my golden bosun. I even managed to get a few half-decent bird photos. I'm especially proud of my Christmas Island goshawk picture. The Christmas Island economy once relied almost exclusively on the phosphate mining industry. Although this industrial archaeology interested me greatly, it has to be said, mining has left some unfortunate legacies. The mining of the primary mineral ceased in 1980, but low-grade material and dumps continue to be excavated and processed. We had a welcome dinner on the evening of our arrival, where our guides, academic and world-renowned experts themselves, introduced each other. Even Christmas Island Administrator John Stanhope attended. I'm pleased to report a superb watering hole was available not more than 50 metres from our lodgings. It was there that excellent cold ale and fine food was available, while patrons gathered at the setting sun far over the Indian Ocean, somewhere towards Madagascar. Life's tough, isn't it?